Ryan Cross sat in the back corner of the cantina, watching rain hammer against the windows. Redstone Colony had 2 seasons, dusty and wet. Right now it was wet. His credit account showed 300 units, enough for maybe 2 more weeks if he stayed cheap. The mining colony offered little work for someone with his skills. Most problems here got solved with lawyers, not guns. A shadow fell across his table. Ryan looked up to see something he had never encountered before. The creature stood nearly 8 feet tall, covered in dark blue scales that caught the dim light. 2 horns curved back from its head, and its eyes glowed with an inner amber fire. Wings, folded tight against its back, shifted slightly as it studied him. "You are Ryan Cross," the creature said. Not a question. Its voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Depends on who's asking," Ryan replied. "My name is Verath. I am Drakesh. I require your services." Ryan had heard of the Drakesh. Dragon-like beings from a world nobody visited without invitation. They kept to themselves, valued honor above everything, and rarely dealt with other species. Seeing one here on a backwater mining colony made no sense. "I don't do bodyguard work," Ryan said. "Try the local security office." Verath pulled out a chair. The furniture groaned under his weight. "I have investigated your background. 7 years of military service. 12 years as a contractor. You have defended impossible positions. You have extracted hostages from warlord compounds. You completed missions others declared suicide runs." "That was before," Ryan said. "Before you lost civilians on Frost Harbor." Ryan's jaw tightened. "You did your homework." "I need someone who understands the cost of failure," Verath said. "Someone who will not fail again." Ryan should have walked away. Should have told this dragon to find someone else. But he needed work, and Verath clearly needed help badly enough to track him down. "What's the job?" Ryan asked. Verath produced a data pad, sliding it across the table. 2 faces appeared on the screen. Young Drakesh may be equivalent to human teenagers. 1 male, 1 female. They had the same amber eyes as Verath. "My children, Kira and Soren. They attend the Interspecies Academy here. I must return to my homeworld for political negotiations. These talks will take 30 days minimum. And you want me to watch them while you're gone," Ryan said. "Like I said, I don't do babysitting." "I want you to keep them alive," Verath said. He tapped the pad. New files appeared. Intercepted communications. Troop manifests. Ship registrations. Ryan scanned the data and his stomach dropped. "The Crimson Fleet," he muttered. "You know of them. Mercenary army. 3,000 strong last I heard. They specialize in overwhelming force. Terror tactics. They don't take jobs unless the money's obscene." Ryan looked up. "Who wants your kids dead?" "Not dead. Taken. There are factions on my world who oppose the current negotiations. If my children were kidnapped, I would have no choice but to concede to any demands." Verath's claws scraped against the table. "The Drakesh government cannot station guards here without creating a diplomatic incident. Other species would see it as military occupation. But one mercenary, acting as private security, raises no such concerns." Ryan scrolled through the data. The fleet had been quiet for 2 months, unusual for them. No recent contracts, no movements. They were gathering somewhere, preparing for something big. Why not pull your kids out?
Take them home?
They have 6 weeks remaining in their academic term. To withdraw them now would signal weakness, possibly trigger the very crisis we wish to avoid. My enemies watch everything I do. So you need someone to protect them for 30 days while you handle politics back home. Ryan studied the troop numbers again. "Against 3,000 professional soldiers. I am offering 2 million credits. 1 million now, 1 million upon successful completion." Ryan nearly choked. 2 million would set him up for life. He could retire, buy a ship, disappear to some quiet corner of the galaxy. But the numbers did not lie. 3,000 against 1. Even with preparation, even with defensive advantages, those odds were suicide. "Why me?" Ryan asked. "You could hire an entire company for that price." "I do not want a company. Companies have chains of command, politics, internal disputes. I want one person. Someone with nothing to prove and everything to lose. Someone who will not abandon my children when the situation becomes difficult." "You mean when the fleet shows up?" "Yes." Ryan looked at the faces on the screen again. Kira had a serious expression, like she was analyzing everything around her. Soren smiled wide, showing young fangs. They looked like good kids. They did not deserve to be used as political pawns. Frost Harbor still haunted him. Civilians who trusted him to get them out. He had miscalculated, moved too slow, and they paid the price. 4 years later, he still saw their faces. Maybe this was a chance to balance those scales. Maybe it was just another way to get himself killed. "I'll need full access to the academy," Ryan said. "Unlimited budget for defensive equipment. And your kids need to follow my orders without question." "Agreed. If the fleet comes and it gets bad, I'm sending your kids through whatever escape route I can manage, even if that means leaving Redstone entirely." "Their lives are the priority," Vareth said. "Nothing else matters." Ryan drained the last of his drink. 2 million credits. 30 days. 3,000 enemies. He had faced worse odds before, though he struggled to remember when. "Then I accept your contract." Vareth stood, extending one massive clawed hand. Ryan shook it, feeling the raw power in that grip. The Drakesh could have crushed his bones without effort, but the touch remained gentle, controlled. "I leave in 3 days," Vareth said. "I will introduce you to Kira and Soren tomorrow. Prepare whatever you need. Spare no expense. I will transfer the first million immediately." After Varath left, Ryan sat alone in the cantina, watching rain continue its assault on the windows. His datapad chimed. Account balance 1,300,000 credits. He had not seen that many zeros in his account since his military days. Tomorrow he would meet the twins. Tomorrow he would start preparing. But tonight, he allowed himself one moment of doubt. 3,000 soldiers, all of them coming for 2 kids under his protection. He ordered another drink, going to need it. The academy occupied the northern district of Redstone Colony, a cluster of buildings designed for the children of diplomats and wealthy traders. Ryan walked through the main entrance carrying 2 equipment cases, already cataloging weaknesses. Too many windows, multiple entry points, gardens and courtyards that provided cover for attackers. The place was built for education, not defense. Varath waited in a private conference room with his children. Kira and Soren stood when Ryan entered, both trying to look confident. Up close, they stood about 6 feet tall, smaller than their father but still imposing. Their scales held a lighter shade of blue, almost silver in the room's artificial light. "This is Ryan Cross," Vareth said. "He will ensure your safety while I am away." "Father, we don't need a babysitter," Kira said. Her voice carried the sharp edge of wounded pride. "We can defend ourselves." "Against 1 or 2 opponents, yes," Varath replied. "Against an army, you are children." "An army?" Soren's eyes widened. "Really, that's so cool. Father, you never said we were important enough to have whole armies after us." "It is not cool, my son. It is deadly serious." Ryan set down his cases. "Let me make something clear. I'm not here to teach you to fight. I'm here to keep you alive. That means when I say run, you run. When I say hide, you hide. When I say don't leave your room, you stay put. Understood?" Kira crossed her arms. "What makes you qualified to give us orders? 7 years fighting in wars you've never heard of. 12 years taking contracts that should have killed me, and the fact that your father is paying me a lot of money to make sure you see your next birthday? I could roast you with fire before you drew that gun on your hip," Kira said. Ryan smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "Maybe, but while you're roasting me, my automated turrets are putting holes in you. And even if you got me, you'd still have 3,000 other problems heading this way." That shut her up. Soren looked between them, sensing the tension. 3,000? Father, he's exaggerating, right? Vareth's silence answered the question. Ryan spent the next hour walking the dormitory wing where the twins lived. 20 rooms, shared bathroom facilities, common area, 2 stairwells, 1 elevator. Ground floor. Terrible. He would have preferred upper floors with limited access points, but moving the twins would attract attention. "I'll need the 4 rooms adjacent to yours emptied," Ryan said. "I'm converting them to defensive positions." "Other students live there," Kira protested. "Not anymore. Your father will handle the arrangements." Over the next 2 days, Ryan transformed the dormitory wing into a fortress. He installed reinforced doors with biometric locks. Motion sensors covered every approach. Automated turrets disguised as air filtration units tracked movement in the corridors. He placed shield generators at key points, capable of sealing off entire sections if needed. Supplies filled 1 converted room: food, water, medical equipment, ammunition. The twins watched with growing unease as their home became a military installation. "Is all this really necessary?" Soren asked, observing Ryan mount another sensor. "Hope not. But hope's a poor strategy. You've done this before, haven't you? Defended against impossible odds. Ryan paused. Yeah, sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. What happened when it didn't? People died. People I was supposed to protect. Soren went quiet. When Ryan looked back, the young Drakesh had a thoughtful expression. Is that why you're so serious about this? You don't want to fail again? I don't want your father coming back to find pieces of you scattered across Redstone. Now hand me that power cell. Vareth departed on the third day. He spent an hour with his children in private, then found Ryan doing final weapons checks. Everything is prepared? Vareth asked. As much as possible. I've got sensor nets covering a 2-mile radius. Anything bigger than a delivery drone enters that space, I'll know about it. Colonial Security has been informed I'm here as private protection. They won't interfere unless I request help. The fleet will come, Vareth said. Not a possibility. A certainty. I know. Question is when and how many. All of them. They will want overwhelming force to ensure success. Ryan nodded. He had figured the same thing. This wasn't a surgical strike operation. The fleet would come hard and heavy, betting everything on breaking through before help could arrive. Keep your communication device active, Ryan said. If things go bad, you need to know immediately. I will return as quickly as possible if you send distress signal. Might not be possible. Your homeworld is 4 days away even at maximum speed. Then hold for 4 days. Vareth placed one massive hand on Ryan's shoulder. The weight of it, the strength in that grip, conveyed everything words could not. Trust. Desperation. Hope. Protect them, Ryan Cross, whatever the cost. After Varath left, the academy felt quieter. The twins attended classes, trying to maintain normal routines. Ryan shadowed them at a distance, always watching, always calculating. Other students gave them strange looks. Word had spread that the Drakesh siblings had hired a human bodyguard. Rumors flew about assassination attempts and political intrigue. In the evenings, Ryan drilled Kira and Soren on emergency procedures. Escape routes, safe room locations, communication protocols. Kira resented every minute, viewing it as an insult to her capabilities. Soren treated it like an adventure, asking endless questions about human military tactics. Why do humans win so many fights? Soren asked one night. Other species are stronger, faster, have better technology. Stubbornness, Ryan replied. When every logical calculation says we should quit, we just get angry and keep going. It's stupid, really. But it works, and that's your plan? Get stubborn. That and lots of explosives. Stubbornness works better with explosives. 14 days passed without incident. Ryan used the time to refine his defenses, wargaming different attack scenarios. He slept in 3-hour shifts, never fully resting. His sensor nets remained clear. Nothing unusual. Nothing threatening. On day 15, the nets picked up microdrones. Surveillance units, barely larger than insects. Ryan traced them to a commercial building 8 blocks away. He couldn't move against them without revealing he knew they were there. The fleet was watching, gathering intelligence, mapping his defenses. Let them look. Let them think they understood his preparations. When they came, he would show them what those preparations actually meant. Kira found him that night staring at sensor displays. You really think they're coming, she said. I know they're coming. Just a matter of when. And you're not scared? Ryan glanced at her, terrified. Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you alive. Then why do this? Why accept a contract you might not survive? Because your father asked. Because you deserve to live without being used as bargaining chips. Because I failed people before, and maybe this time I won't. Kira studied him for a long moment. I was wrong about you. Yeah? I thought you were just another mercenary who'd run when things got dangerous. But you're not going to run, are you? No, I'm not. She nodded and left without another word. Ryan returned to his displays. The surveillance drones had multiplied. 18 now. They were close to making their move. Very close. 4 days later, his long-range sensors screamed warnings. Ships dropping from orbit. Lots of them. Ryan pulled up the display and counted dropships. 40. 50. More appearing every second. He activated the emergency alarm. Kira and Soren appeared within 30 seconds, both looking frightened. They're here, Ryan said quietly. Get to the safe room now. Dropships filled the sky like metal rain. Ryan sealed the dormitory wing blast doors and powered up his defense grid. Through external cameras, he watched soldiers pour from landing craft. They wore mismatched armor and carried various weapons, the trademark chaos of mercenary forces. But they moved with discipline, forming up into squads, establishing perimeter positions. These were professionals. Colonial security tried to respond. 200 militia members with training that consisted mostly of breaking up bar fights and handling mining disputes. Ryan watched them form defensive lines in the colony's main square. Brave, stupid, doomed. The fleet hit them like a sledgehammer. Plasma fire cut through security barricades. Militia members scattered, some trying to fight, most running for cover. Within 10 minutes, organized colonial resistance ceased to exist. A few security officers retreated to the civic building and barricaded themselves inside. The fleet ignored them. They had one target. Ryan's sensors tracked enemy movement. 400 soldiers advancing on the academy, split into 4 groups of 100 each, standard assault formation. They expected resistance, but nothing they couldn't handle with overwhelming numbers. Are they here? Soren's voice crackled through the internal comm. He and Kira waited in the reinforced safe room, surrounded by 3 feet of reinforced concrete and energy shielding. They're here. Stay quiet, stay put. Don't come out no matter what you hear. Ryan, there are so many of them. Yeah, there are. He activated the first defensive perimeter. Automated turrets hidden in the academy's exterior walls powered up, targeting systems locking onto approaching soldiers. Ryan gave them one chance. A warning broadcast across all frequencies. This building is under private protection. Turn around. Leave now. This is your only warning. The fleet responded with a rocket that obliterated the academy's main entrance. Fair enough, Ryan muttered, and activated the turrets. The courtyard erupted in fire. Hidden gun emplacements opened up from seemingly decorative walls and rooftop positions. Fleet soldiers dove for cover, but the turrets tracked movement with mechanical precision. Plasma bolts and kinetic rounds cut through armor. Men screamed. Officers shouted orders, trying to organize a response. Ryan watched the carnage through multiple camera feeds, making mental calculations. 18 enemies down in the first 30 seconds. 37 down in the first minute. The fleet adapted quickly, using portable shields and concentrated fire to take out his turrets one by one. They were learning his defensive layout, probing for weaknesses. Good. Let them think the turrets were his main defense. The fleet brought up heavy weapons. Rocket launchers and plasma cannons pounded the academy's exterior. Walls cracked. Windows shattered. Ryan let them waste ammunition on empty classrooms while he repositioned, moving to secondary defensive points. They wanted in the dormitory wing. They would have to come through him to get it. The first squad breached the academy's east entrance. 20 soldiers, armor scorched from turret fire, advancing with professional caution. They cleared rooms methodically, checking corners, watching for traps. Smart, but not smart enough. Ryan triggered the charges he had placed throughout the eastern corridor. The hallway became a kill zone. Walls exploded inward, ceiling collapsed, and flames roared through confined spaces. When the dust settled, 3 soldiers staggered out, armor melted, weapons gone. Ryan shot them from his elevated position before they could raise alarm. The fleet pulled back, reassessing. Ryan used the brake to check his ammunition. 43% remaining, not good. He had more enemies outside than bullets in his storage. The second assault came from 2 directions simultaneously. Better tactics. 100 soldiers on the north entrance, another 100 on the south. They blew through exterior walls with shaped charges, bypassing the main corridors entirely. Ryan fell back to the dormitory wing, activating shield barriers that sealed off connecting hallways. The shields would not hold forever, but they bought time. Enemy soldiers pounded against the barriers, trying to force through. Ryan used the delay to set up crossfire positions. When the shields finally failed, the fleet poured through into a nightmare. Automated guns tracked them from concealed positions. Remote-controlled explosives detonated at precise moments, and Ryan himself, moving through access tunnels and maintenance shafts, appeared where they least expected. He was not trying to kill all of them. That was impossible. He was making them pay for every foot of ground. Make it expensive. Make it slow. Make them afraid. A fleet officer rallied his troops, organizing a focused push on the dormitory wing entrance. 50 soldiers concentrated their fire on the reinforced door. Smart play. Overwhelming one point rather than spreading out. Ryan let them commit to the attack. Let them bunch up in the corridor. Then he dropped the ceiling on them. Explosive charges placed in the floor above detonated simultaneously. Tons of concrete and steel crashed down. When the dust cleared, the corridor was impassable, filled with rubble and the crushed remains of what had been an elite assault team. The fleet commander, a scarred veteran named Ravek, watched the carnage from his command ship in orbit. One human, and he had just lost over 200 soldiers. This was supposed to be an easy contract. Grab 2 children, get paid, move on. Instead, he was watching his force get shredded by defensive positions that should not exist. All units, Ravek ordered. Pull back. Establish siege perimeter. No more direct assaults. We starve him out. Ryan watched the fleet withdraw through his remaining cameras. They were learning. The direct approach cost them too much. Now they would try patience. Surround the building, cut off supplies, wait for him to run out of ammunition or food or water. Eventually, he would have no choice but to surrender or watch the twins starve. Except Ryan had prepared for siege. The safe room held supplies for 40 days. Water recyclers, air filtration, everything needed for extended survival. The fleet did not know that. Let them think they had him trapped. He opened the comm to the safe room. You two okay in there? We heard explosions, Kira said. Her voice shook slightly. Lots of them. Yeah, they tried to get in. Didn't work out for them. How many are left? Ryan checked his tactical display. Heat signatures surrounded the academy. Too many. But they've stopped attacking for now. Gives us time to breathe. Ryan, there are thousands of them out there. You can't fight them all. Don't have to fight them all. Just have to keep them away from you. Soren's voice joined the channel. You're insane. You know that? Been told that before, Ryan replied. He was already moving. Using the respite to reposition weapons, set new traps, prepare for the next assault. Because there would be a next assault. The fleet had committed too much to walk away now. Over the next 6 hours, they tried different approaches. Sniper teams attempted to take out his remaining cameras. Ryan had backup systems. They sent in drones to map his defenses. He shot them down or hacked them, feeding false information. They tried to dig through the walls with plasma cutters. He collapsed those sections with prepositioned charges. The fleet adapted each time, but adaptation required time and cost resources. Ryan had turned the dormitory wing into a fortress within a fortress, each layer designed to delay and damage. And with every hour that passed, Verath was 4 hours closer to returning home. 4 hours closer to learning what was happening. 4 hours closer to sending help. Hold for 4 days, Verath had said. Ryan checked his chronometer. 18 hours down. 96 to go. Outside, Ravek stared at tactical displays showing the academy building. One human had killed or wounded 300 of his soldiers. 300. The contract money suddenly did not seem worth it. But backing out now would destroy the Crimson Fleet's reputation. Other employers would see them as weak, unreliable. Bring up the artillery, Ravek ordered. We're done playing games. Level that building. The first artillery shell hit at dawn. Ryan felt the impact through the building's structure. A deep vibration that rattled his teeth. He was in a maintenance tunnel when the second shell struck. Close enough that dust rained from the ceiling. The fleet had brought in the heavy guns. Through his surviving cameras, Ryan watched them set up firing positions. Mobile artillery units, 6 of them, positioned at safe distances. They would pound the academy into rubble safe from his defenses. Smart, effective. The building was not designed to withstand sustained bombardment. Ryan, what was that? Kira's voice came through the comm, sharp with fear. Artillery. They're shelling the building. The safe room will hold. It's designed for this. What about you? Where are you? Moving. Stay off the comm unless it's an emergency. I need to concentrate. He did not tell them he was running out of options. The artillery changed everything. His defensive positions meant nothing if the fleet could destroy them from a distance. He needed to neutralize those guns, which meant going outside. Going into the middle of 3,000 enemy soldiers. Ryan loaded his remaining gear. 6 magazines for his rifle. 4 grenades. 1 plasma cutter for breaching walls. His armor had taken damage during the previous fighting, showing scorch marks and dents, but it still functioned. He checked his helmet's heads-up display. Enemy positions marked in red surrounded the academy like a noose. The maintenance tunnels extended beyond the building, part of the colony's infrastructure network. Most people forgot they existed. Ryan had mapped them during his preparation, identifying exit points throughout the nearby district. He chose 1-3 blocks from the academy, far enough that fleet forces would be thinner. The tunnel smelled of mold and stagnant water. Ryan moved through darkness, guided by his helmet's night vision. Behind him, more artillery shells hammered the academy. Each impact sent tremors through the ground. The building was tough, but it could not take this punishment forever. He emerged in a basement storage area of what had been a clothing store. The building above was empty, inhabitants having fled when the fleet landed. Ryan climbed stairs carefully, checking each floor. On the 3rd level, he found a window with sight lines to the nearest artillery position. 2 fleet soldiers guarded the gun, looking bored. They expected any threat to come from the academy, not from behind. Ryan lined up his shot, controlled his breathing, and fired. 2 rounds, 2 bodies dropping. The artillery piece sat unmanned for approximately 8 seconds before other soldiers noticed and raised the alarm. Ryan was already moving. He activated his helmet's jammer, scrambling communications in the immediate area. Confusion spread through fleet positions as soldiers tried to report the attack, but found their comms filled with static. In that chaos, Ryan sprinted to the artillery piece and placed a charge on its firing mechanism. 10 seconds. He dove behind a concrete barrier as the explosion tore through the gun systems, rendering it useless scrap. Plasma fire erupted from multiple directions. The fleet responded fast, flooding the area with soldiers. Ryan used the clothing store's back exit, emerging into an alley. He had planned 3 different escape routes. Good thing, because fleet forces blocked 2 of them. He went up instead of out, climbing a fire escape to the rooftops. Soldiers poured into the alley below, searching for him. Ryan crossed to an adjacent building, putting distance between himself and pursuit. His helmet's display showed enemy positions, a sea of red dots converging on his last known location. 5 artillery pieces remained. Over the next 3 hours, Ryan destroyed 2 more. Each attack followed a different pattern. He refused to be predictable. One gun he sabotaged using a timed explosive planted while fleet soldiers rotated guard shifts. Another he destroyed by hacking its targeting computer and making it fire on a nearby ammunition depot. The resulting explosion took out the gun and 20 soldiers standing too close. But the attacks cost him. A plasma bolt grazed his shoulder during the second strike, burning through armor and scorching flesh. He had to use combat stimulants to keep functioning. Drugs that killed pain and boosted performance but would leave him wrecked when they wore off. The fleet commander Ravek watched his artillery assets disappear one by one. This human was not just defending anymore. He was hunting, attacking, making Ravek's numerical superiority meaningless by striking where it was weakest. Find him, Ravek ordered. Mobilize every available soldier. I want that human dead. 1,500 fleet soldiers began a systematic sweep of the district. They cleared buildings, checked every hiding spot, coordinated through secure channels that Ryan's jammer could not block. The net was closing. Ryan knew he could not destroy the remaining artillery pieces. Too many soldiers, too alert. He needed a different approach. He circled back to the academy through the maintenance tunnels, emerging inside his defensive perimeter. The building looked like it had survived a war. Entire sections had collapsed from artillery fire. His carefully prepared positions were ruins. He checked the safe room. The door remained sealed, sensors showing green. Kira and Soren were safe. For now, Ryan. Soren's voice came through as soon as he accessed the internal comm. You're alive. We heard fighting everywhere. I'm alive. Took out half their artillery. The rest are dug in too deep. The building's falling apart, Kira said. How much longer can we hold? Ryan checked his chronometer. 41 hours since the attack began. 55 hours remaining until Verith could possibly return, assuming he left the moment he received word of the assault. As long as we need to, Ryan lied. The truth was grimmer. His ammunition was nearly gone. His defenses were destroyed. The building could not take much more punishment, and he was injured, exhausted, running on stimulants that would eventually fail. The fleet knew it too. They were not in a hurry anymore. They could afford to wait, to grind him down slowly. Ryan spent the next hour setting final defensive positions. Not the elaborate kill zones he had built before. Those were gone. Now he prepared the last stand. The corridor leading to the safe room became his final line. Every weapon he had left, every remaining piece of equipment, focused on that single choke point. When the fleet breached the building, and they would, this was where he would stop them. He worked with mechanical focus, not thinking about the odds, not considering what would happen when his ammunition ran out. The work itself became meditation. Place the charge here, position the turret there, calculate firing lanes, check sight lines. Details kept the fear away. Kira's voice interrupted. Ryan, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why are you doing this, really? It's not just the money. Ryan paused, considering the question. Your father asked me to protect you. I gave my word. People break promises all the time, especially when keeping them means dying. Yeah, they do, but I've broken enough promises in my life. This one I'm keeping. Soren joined the conversation. Tell us about Frost Harbor. Father mentioned it when he hired you. Ryan's hand stilled. Nobody asked about Frost Harbor. People who knew what happened there had the decency not to bring it up. Extraction mission, he said finally. Civilians caught in a war zone. I was supposed to get them out. I miscalculated enemy positions, moved too slow. By the time we reached the evacuation point, artillery had already hit the area. Killed 47 people, men, women, children. They trusted me to save them. It wasn't your fault, Kira said softly. I was in command. That makes it my fault. Been carrying those deaths for 4 years. Figured maybe if I kept you two alive, it would balance things out a little. That's not how it works, Soren said. Saving us doesn't bring them back. I know, but it's all I've got. Silence filled the calm for a moment. Then Kira spoke again. For what it's worth, we're glad you're here. Even if you're crazy enough to fight an army alone. Ryan smiled despite everything. Yeah, definitely crazy. The fleet resumed their assault at sunset. This time they committed everything. Ravek had decided to end this. 2,000 soldiers advanced on the academy from all directions simultaneously. Artillery hammered the building in coordinated strikes. Combat drones flew overhead, mapping remaining defensive positions. Ryan watched them come through his last functioning camera. An ocean of soldiers moving with purpose. This was it. The final push. He activated the safe room's emergency beacon, sending a distress signal to Vareth. Whatever happened next, the twins' father would know his children fought to survive. Here they come, Ryan said over the comm. Remember, no matter what you hear, stay in that room. Don't open the door for anyone but me or your father. Ryan, Kira began. No arguments. I made a promise. I'm keeping it. He sealed the safe room remotely, locking it from the outside. Even if Kira or Soren tried to help, they could not open the door now. They were safe, protected, that was all that mattered. Ryan took position in the corridor, checking his weapons one final time. 42 rounds remaining. 3 grenades, 1 plasma cutter with enough charge for maybe 20 seconds of use. Against 2,000 soldiers, it was nothing. But it would have to be enough. The fleet came through the walls like a tidal wave. Shaped charges blew holes in the academy's remaining structure. Soldiers poured through the breaches, moving with coordinated precision. They had learned from their earlier losses. No bunching up, no predictable patterns. They spread out, covered each other, advanced in controlled rushes. Ryan triggered his first trap. Explosives buried in the corridor floor detonated, catching a squad in the blast. Bodies flew backward. The advance hesitated for maybe 3 seconds. Then they kept coming. He fired from behind makeshift cover, picking targets. Center mass. Controlled bursts. Every shot had to count because he did not have enough ammunition to waste. Soldiers dropped, but more took their place. Always more. The fleet was not attacking anymore. They were simply advancing, accepting casualties as the cost of progress. A grenade bounced into Ryan's position. He kicked it back and dove. The explosion shredded 2 fleet soldiers who had been trying to flank him. Ryan rolled, came up firing, dropped 3 more. His rifle clicked empty. He ejected the magazine, slammed in another. 15 rounds left after this one. The corridor became a meat grinder. Every foot the fleet advanced cost them bodies. Ryan had set the killing ground perfectly. Narrow space, limited angles of attack, overlapping fields of fire from his last automated turrets. The enemy could not use their numbers effectively here. They had to come at him in small groups, and Ryan made each group pay. But they were adapting. Smoke grenades filled the corridor. Thermal imaging let them see through it while Ryan's regular vision became useless. He switched to his helmet's thermal view, but it was not as good as theirs. They were closing the distance, getting into hand-to-hand range where his marksmanship advantage disappeared. A fleet soldier emerged from the smoke, weapon raised. Ryan shot him twice. Another came from the left. Ryan's rifle jammed. He dropped it, drew his sidearm, fired. The soldier went down. Two more appeared. Ryan threw his last grenade. The explosion cleared the immediate area, but his ears rang and his vision blurred. He was running on fumes now. The combat stimulants were wearing off, leaving him shaky and slow. Blood seeped from the plasma burn on his shoulder, and a dozen smaller wounds he had not noticed taking. His armor was falling apart, entire plates missing or hanging loose. The fleet pulled back briefly, regrouping. Ryan used the brake to check his ammunition. 11 rounds in his sidearm. That was everything. When those rounds were gone, he had the plasma cutter and his hands. Against hundreds of soldiers. Through his helmet's damaged speakers, he heard Ravik broadcasting on all frequencies. Human. You have fought well, better than anyone expected. But this is over. Surrender. We will not harm you if you give us the children. Ryan laughed. It came out as a harsh, painful sound. You really think I'm that stupid? You're dying. We can see it. You're wounded, exhausted, out of ammunition. There's no shame in surrender. Yeah, there is. I gave my word. I'm keeping it. Then you will die for nothing. The building is surrounded. Reinforcements cannot reach you in time. Your death accomplishes nothing. Maybe. But every minute I keep you here is one more minute those kids stay safe. I'll take that trade. Ravik ended the transmission. Orders went out to the assault teams. No more caution. Full commitment. And this. The fleet came again, but this time they brought the heavy weapons. Plasma cannons. Rocket launchers. They were not trying to capture the safe room intact anymore. They would blow through the walls, grab the twins from the rubble. Ryan positioned himself directly in front of the safe room door. The last barrier between the fleet and their objective. Behind him, 3 feet of reinforced concrete and energy shielding protected Kira and Soren. In front of him, death approached in overwhelming force. He fired his remaining rounds with mechanical precision. 11 shots. 11 bodies. The sidearm clicked empty. Ryan dropped it and activated his plasma cutter. The device whined to life, projecting a blade of superheated energy. 20 seconds of power. Make them count. 2 soldiers rushed him. Ryan met them with the cutter, the blade shearing through armor and flesh. They died screaming. 3 more came. He killed one, wounded another. The cutter sputtered and died. Power exhausted. Ryan reversed it and used the handle as a club, smashing it into a soldier's helmet. The helmet cracked. The soldier dropped. Fists and boots became his weapons. Ryan fought like a cornered animal, all technique forgotten, running on pure, stubborn refusal to fall. A rifle butt caught him in the ribs. Bones cracked. He grabbed the rifle, head-butted its owner, took the weapon, and used it to beat down another soldier. Plasma fire caught him in the leg. Ryan went down. He tried to stand. Could not. The leg would not support his weight. He dragged himself backward, still between the fleet and the safe room door. Still in their way, a boot slammed into his chest. His damaged ribs screamed. Another kick caught his head. His helmet display shattered. The world became a blur of pain and motion. Somewhere in the chaos, Ryan heard Kira screaming through the safe room's external speakers. She had overridden his lockdown from inside. Stop, please stop. We'll surrender. Just don't kill him. No, Ryan gasped. Stay inside. Don't open that door. But Kira was not listening. The safe room door began to open. She and Soren were coming out, giving themselves up to save him, doing exactly what he had tried to prevent. Ryan forced himself to his knees. Blood ran down his face. His vision tunneled. Every breath brought agony from his broken ribs. He could not let the twins surrender, could not let Vareth's children become hostages because he had failed to protect them. Not again. Not like Frost Harbor. He reached for anything, any weapon, any tool. His hand closed on a piece of broken metal from his destroyed armor. Sharp, heavy enough. Ryan raised it, preparing for one last desperate attack. And then the sky opened up. Brilliant light flooded the corridor as something massive descended from orbit. A Drakesh warship bigger than anything in the fleet, its weapons already firing. Orbital strikes hit the fleet positions with pinpoint accuracy. Soldiers outside the academy simply ceased to exist, vaporized by energy weapons designed to destroy capital ships. The fleet soldiers inside the building froze, looking up as if they could see through the ceiling to the death raining from above. Panic spread. Orders dissolved into screaming chaos. They ran, trying to escape the building, the academy, the entire district. Drakesh shock troops deployed from the warship. Not peacekeepers, not diplomats, warriors bred for combat, each one capable of tearing through armored soldiers like paper. They hit the remaining fleet forces like an avalanche. The mercenaries, who had seemed so overwhelming moments before, broke and ran. Varath himself crashed through what remained of the academy's exterior wall. The massive Drakesh moved with impossible speed, his claws ripping through fleet soldiers. Flames erupted from his mouth, incinerating anyone who stood between him and his children. He found Ryan collapsed in front of the safe room, barely conscious, still trying to block the door with his broken body. Kira and Soren stood in the doorway, staring at their father, at the carnage, at Ryan's devastated form. "Father," Kira whispered. Varath knelt beside Ryan, his huge form gentle as he examined the human's injuries. "You kept them safe." Ryan tried to speak, failed, managed only a weak nod. "Rest now, warrior. I have you." Everything went dark. Ryan woke in clean sheets that smelled of antiseptic. Medical equipment surrounded his bed, displaying vital signs in languages he did not recognize. His body felt strange. No pain, that was wrong. He should hurt everywhere. "Drakesh medical technology," a voice said. Varath sat in a chair that looked absurdly small for his frame. "You have been unconscious for 2 days. The doctors say you will make a full recovery. The twins? Safe, unharmed, because of you." Memory returned in fragments. The siege. The final stand. The fleet overwhelming his position. "How did you get here so fast?" "You should have been 4 days away. I received your distress signal 56 hours into the attack. I left immediately. Broke every speed record crossing the distance. My government protested. I did not care. My children needed me." Ryan closed his eyes. "I almost failed. They were about to surrender. To save me. But they did not. And they live because you refused to let them be taken." Varath leaned forward. "Do you know how many fleet soldiers we captured alive?" "No. 800. Out of nearly 3,000. The rest fled or died. The corridor outside the safe room held the bodies of over 200 enemies, all killed by one human who refused to surrender. Just doing the job. No, you went far beyond any contract. You fought impossible odds and won through sheer determination. You fulfilled your word when you could have run, should have run. That is not a mercenary. That is a warrior of honor. Recovery took 2 weeks. Drakesh medicine worked faster than human technology, knitting bones, healing burns, repairing damage that would have left Ryan crippled for life. The doctor said he would have died from his injuries without their intervention. Multiple organ failures, massive internal bleeding, severe trauma to his brain from repeated head impacts. His body had been running on nothing but willpower and stimulants when Varath arrived. Kira and Soren visited every day. At first they just sat quietly watching him sleep. Later, when he could sit up and talk, they told him everything that happened after he lost consciousness. "Father destroyed an entire fleet division," Soren said with undisguised awe. 30 ships tried to escape orbit. He shot down every single one. The survivors surrendered rather than face him. "Commander Ravek is in custody," Kira added. "He keeps asking about you. Wants to know what kind of human fights like that." "A stubborn one," Ryan replied. "Father says you're a legend now." Word spread through mercenary networks. The human who held off 3,000 soldiers alone. People think we're making it up. Ryan did not feel like a legend. He felt tired. The kind of tired that sleep could not fix. He had spent every ounce of himself defending those kids. Given everything. Nearly died. And for what? Money, honor? Or just to prove he could protect someone this time? On the 15th day, doctors cleared him for release. Varath came to collect him personally, bringing clothes and Kira and Soren. The twins had grown somehow during the ordeal. They stood straighter, spoke with more confidence. The spoiled academy students were gone, replaced by young Drakesh who had looked at death and survived. "Your contract payment has been transferred," Varath said. 2 million credits as agreed, plus a substantial bonus for services rendered above and beyond expectation. Ryan checked his account. 4 million credits total. More money than he had ever seen. Enough to retire anywhere in the galaxy. Buy a ship, disappear, never fight again, thank you, he said. It is insufficient. Currency cannot repay what you have done. Varath's expression became solemn. In Drakesh culture, when someone risks everything to defend our children, they become part of our family. Not through blood, through honor, through sacrifice. I don't understand. I am formally adopting you into my clan. You will have all rights and privileges of a Drakesh family member. You will have a home on our world, protection of our government, and a name in our language that will be remembered. Kira stepped forward, holding a small box. Inside lay a pendant, intricate metalwork showing 2 dragons sheltering beneath a shield. We made this for you, with Father's help. It represents what you did for us. The name we have chosen, Varath continued, translates roughly to Shield of the Young. It will be recorded in our family archives. Your deeds will be taught to Drakesh children for generations. Ryan stared at the pendant, at the twins, at Varath. He had expected payment and maybe a handshake, not this. Never this, I don't deserve this, he said quietly. You are wrong, Soren said. You gave everything to protect us. You were willing to die. That deserves more than we can ever give. Ryan took the pendant with shaking hands. The weight of it felt heavier than metal should. It carried expectation, legacy, family. All the things he had lost when his military career ended in disgrace at Frost Harbor. I accept, he said, with honor. Varath smiled, showing fangs that could tear through steel. Then welcome to our family, Shield of the Young. The weeks that followed brought changes Ryan never anticipated. Varath brought him to the Drakesh homeworld, a planet of mountains and crystal cities. The Drakesh people, normally reserved with outsiders, treated him with respect bordering on reverence. Word had spread about the human who fought an army for 2 Drakesh children. They gave him a home in the capital city. Not large but comfortable, a place of his own for the first time in years. Kira and Soren visited constantly, bringing friends who wanted to meet the legendary warrior. Ryan found himself telling the story of the siege over and over, always downplaying his role, always emphasizing how he was just doing his job. But the young Drakesh saw through his modesty. They understood what he would not say. That one person, properly motivated with nothing to lose and everything to prove, could accomplish the impossible. One day, 3 months after the battle, Varath approached Ryan with a proposal. Our military academies teach defensive warfare, Varath said, but they teach Drakesh methods. Drakesh thinking. Your defense of my children showed different approaches, human approaches. I wish to offer you a position as instructor. I'm not a teacher. You taught my children to survive. You showed them that strength comes not just from claws and fire, but from preparation, strategy, and determination. Teach that to others. Ryan considered it. He had money. He had a home. He could retire and live comfortably. But retirement meant isolation. Meant sitting alone with his thoughts and the ghosts of Frost Harbor. Teaching meant purpose. Meant turning his experience into something useful. Meant maybe saving lives by preparing others to defend what they loved. I'll do it, Ryan said. The first class started a month later, 20 young Drakesh, all eager to learn from the human who became legend. Ryan stood before them, feeling out of place. They were so large, so powerful. What could he teach beings who could breathe fire and tear through armor with their claws? I'm going to teach you how to defend when you're outnumbered, Ryan began. When you're outgunned. When every logical calculation says you should lose. I'm going to teach you how humans win fights they shouldn't. How? One student asked. Stubbornness, preparation, and the absolute refusal to quit. Ryan smiled. Let me tell you about a battle on a world called Redstone, where one human held off 3,000 enemies to protect 2 kids he barely knew. He told the story, every detail. The planning, the defenses, the attacks, the losses, the pain. The moment when he was beaten, broken, barely conscious, and still refused to move from that doorway. Why didn't you run? A student asked. You could have escaped, saved yourself. Because I gave my word. Because those kids deserve to live. Because I had failed people before and I wasn't failing again. Ryan looked at each student. That's what I'm teaching you. Not tactics, not strategy. Those are tools. I'm teaching you why you fight when fighting seems impossible. What you find inside yourself when there's nothing left but will. The class sat silent, absorbing his words. Kira and Soren, sitting in the back as teaching assistants, exchanged looks. This was what they wanted, what their people needed, not just to learn human tactics, but to understand the human spirit. The stubborn, impossible, beautiful refusal to surrender. Years passed. Ryan's classes became legendary at the academy. Students competed for spots in his program. He taught thousands of young Drakesh the principles he learned through decades of warfare. Some became military officers, others became peacekeepers. All carried his lessons with them. Kira and Soren grew into adults, both choosing military service. They credited Ryan with teaching them that true strength came from protecting others, not dominating them. Varath watched his children become leaders and knew the human had given them something no Drakesh could have taught. On the 10th anniversary of the Battle of Redstone, the Drakish government held a ceremony. They unveiled a monument in the capital plaza, a statue showing a human in battered armor, standing before a door surrounded by enemies. The plaque read simply, "Shield of the Young, one who stood when thousands came, teacher, warrior, family." Ryan stood before the monument feeling strange. That human in the statue looked heroic, noble. He remembered being terrified, exhausted, convinced he was going to die. But maybe that was the point. Heroes were not fearless. They were just stubborn enough to fight anyway. Varath stood beside him, older now but still powerful. "You never told me why you truly accepted my contract." Money, protection work, seemed like a good deal. "No, the truth." Ryan was quiet for a moment. "I failed people before, civilians who trusted me. They died because I wasn't good enough, wasn't fast enough. I've carried that for years. When you offered me a chance to protect someone, really protect them, I had to take it. Had to prove I could do it right. And did you? Prove it?" "Yeah, I think I did." Varath placed one massive hand on Ryan's shoulder. "You did more than prove yourself. You showed an entire species what one determined soul can accomplish. You gave my children life. You gave me back my family. No father could ask for more." "The gratitude was always enough," Ryan said quietly. "Everything else is just bonus." "Then I am glad my gratitude made it worthwhile." That evening, Ryan sat with Kira and Soren in his home, sharing a meal as they did most evenings. They talked about small things: academy gossip, politics, Soren's upcoming promotion, Kira's research into human military history. Looking at them, healthy and happy and alive, Ryan felt something he had not experienced in years. Peace. The ghosts of Frost Harbor were still there. They always would be, but they were quieter now, balanced by the lives he had saved, the students he had taught, the family he had found. He had been a mercenary, a soldier, a wanderer with nothing but credits and regrets. Now he was teacher, family member, and legend, all because he stood in a corridor and refused to move. Sometimes the best contracts were the ones you almost refused. Sometimes the greatest rewards were not measured in credits. And sometimes a father's gratitude for saving his children was worth more than all the wealth in the galaxy. Ryan raised his glass. To family. Kira and Soren raised theirs. To family. Outside, the city lights sparkled against the night sky. Somewhere young Drakesh studied tactics in academies. Others stood guard, protecting their people. All of them carrying lessons taught by a stubborn human who proved that one person could make a difference. The shield of the young, protector, teacher, legend. But to Kira and Soren, he was just Ryan, the human who became their brother when he refused to let them be taken. And that was enough.